Have you ever tried freezer paper for foundation paper piecing? It's a really cool technique. Let me show you how it's done. To get started, I utilize the original pattern and place my freezer paper shiny side down on top of the paper. You need a lot of light to do this, and what you want to do is trace the lines for each of the pieces onto the dull side of the freezer paper. You also want to number your pieces so that you don't lose track of which piece goes where. Next, simply cut out your pieces following the lines. You can cut away your seam allowance at this point because you'll square it off in the end. Now that you have your individual pieces cut out, it's time to audition fabrics. This is really a wonderful process where you can take your tiny, tiny scraps that are too small to fall into any particular category or too big to be used as a big piece, and you can move your pieces around to find the right fit. You want to find a piece that has at least a half an inch all the way around on all sides of your piece. Once you find the right fit, you want to grab your iron and iron the freezer paper to the fabric, shiny side down. Next, you want to cut away the excess fabric. And this is an opportunity to preserve as much fabric as possible. You can always peel off the freezer paper and reposition it to maximize the amount of fabric that is left behind once you cut it away. Now it's time to trim. I'm utilizing my rotary cutter and my ruler to cut down each piece with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Now you can give yourself more room. Ordinarily, I'll do anywhere between a 1/4 inch or a 1/2 inch right around each side of my pieces. But today, we're doing a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Once all your pieces are trimmed, now let's lay it out to make sure, number one, that we've gotten all of our pieces, and number two, that the colors that we've chosen kind of work for us. It also gives you a good visualization of how this will all come together. So lay it out on your table and put it together just like you would a puzzle. Next, it's off to the machine. You're going to match up the edges of your paper according to the layout of your original pattern, which I keep handy within eyeshot. You line them up and sew your pieces together with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. You're basically sewing on the line, but the paper allows you to line up those pieces nice and even. Once you're all done, it's time to peel away your pieces. Now, if you sewed it right, or if you gave yourself the 1/2 inch seam allowance, you should be able to use these pieces again. Simply iron them on to your next piece of fabric and keep moving. If some of the pieces get destroyed when you're peeling it away, simply retrace that piece from your original pattern and just replace it. This is a great way to recreate the same block over and over again without destroying your pieces, and to be really selective about the color choices you make when you're creating your block. The final step will be to iron this nice and flat and then square it off. Thanks for joining me for that quick tutorial. I really love that paper piecing method, especially when I'm working with projects that have more detail like the one that's behind me. It gives you the opportunity to mess up and try again, or even audition different fabrics in different places throughout your piece. I hope you learned something. Leave a comment below if you like this method or if you have other suggestions for paper piecing. We'll see you next time, and I can't wait to see what you create.